We are going to go into how to greater use muscle testing or different ways that you can use muscle testing. Now, all of this is actually in your workbook and explained, but I'll go into a little bit more detail so you guys can better understand it. So, different ways that you can use muscle testing. Sometimes you need to figure out if there's layers to something because sometimes an emotion doesn't just leave in one clearing session because there's layers to it. And there's nothing wrong with that. Now, you can keep processing that emotion through the script, and as you do it, you'll hit different layers. And sometimes you can muscle test and ask if you feel like it's not gone. So, for example, if we're clearing anger and you ask your body, am I clear of anger? And you get no, you can ask, okay, is there any resistance towards letting this go? Like we already talked about in the other video. If it's yes, you can go through that. If it's no, you can ask other questions like, is there layers to this? Like, is there multiple layers to this anger? And if you get yes, then you ask how many, and you start at the number 5. And when you start at the number 5, what that does for you is it gives you a baseline number to work off of. So you're going to say, is there 5? Yes. Okay. If it's a yes, is there 6? Yes. Is there 7? You keep going up until you get a no. If you get a 5 and there's no, then you go down in numbers until you get a solid yes. And when you get a solid yes, that is your number. Or if you get a no going up, then that is your number. And you can take those layers through the script. For example, you could say something happened today to cause me to feel 5 layers connected to anger, right? It doesn't have to be super complicated. You don't have to understand all those things. You can also ask, do I need to know more about this? If the answer is yes, then you dig a little deeper and you learn a little bit more. Now, other ways that you can use muscle testing is if you don't know exactly what you need to release, you can go to Dr. Bradley Nelson's emotion code template that he has. It's a chart. Now, I provide this so you can use it in your ability to find things that you need to do. Now, I'm not teaching his method. I'm just giving you his tool that he has access to on his website for you to be able to utilize. And the simple use to it is you just ask, like, is one of my feelings and emotions I need to process in the emotion code chart? If the answer is yes, then you would just go through it like you would normally and you would ask, is it in column A or is it in column B? Whatever one you get a strong answer for, that's the one you go to. So, for example, if I ask, is it in column A? It says no. If it's in column B and I get yes, I now go through that one and I'm going to ask, is it in the even rows? No. Is it in the odd? Yes. Now, once I know it's in the odd rows, I list off all those emotions and feelings individually and I ask. And whatever one I get a strong reading on is the one that I need to process. You might get multiple and that's okay. So you go through the whole entire list, you write down whatever ones you picked up, and then you can ask, is there any more emotions in the emotion code that I need to process? If the answer is yes, then you would go back through it again and do the same thing until you get no. And that's a way you can find more emotions that you need to process if you don't know what you're doing. But again, tapping in and being present with yourself and allowing yourself to be silent and hear yourself is a good way to also tune into what you're feeling. You can ask, what am I feeling? But sometimes at the beginning of this, it can be hard to tune into that because we haven't learned that skill yet to learn what we're feeling on a deeper level. And that's why we have these different tools, and that's why you can utilize muscle testing. So muscle testing can be utilized to give you more answers. It can be utilized with the emotion code chart. Now you can also use it to understand if something's generational and how many generations forward and back does it go. So, for example, if I'm like, okay, am I clear of this anger? And it's a no. I'm like, oh, okay, is it because it's generational? And if I get yes, then I'm going to ask how many generations back does it go? Do I need to know that? If it's a yes, then I go, okay, I start at 5. And if I get a yes for 5, I go up in numbers. If I get a no for 5, I go down in numbers. And all it's going to say is like generations back just means, like, for example, if it was like 3 generations back, it'd be like my great great grandparents and whatever they believed changed their DNA. And so when they had kids, it was passed on to their kids passed it on, and it passed on, so on and so forth. And so when you do that, you help clear that energy and change that programming so then that your DNA doesn't keep passing it on forward. So that's going to be different ways that you can use muscle testing. You can also use it with trying to figure out a heart wall. Now, I'm not going to go into details about this because there's going to be an individual video specifically on heart walls, so we'll talk about that there. If you have any more questions on anything, feel free to ask them when we do our live call. We will answer all your questions and make sure you understand everything.